Well, hey everyone, and good morning. Welcome to the 41st Annual HDSA Convention. I'm Jenny Kohler-Dark, the current chair of HDSA's National Board of Trustees, and I am so grateful to be standing here with all of you in Phoenix, Arizona. There is something truly special about the first morning of convention. You can feel the energy in the room. And the people are reconnecting, new bonds are being formed, and people are finding comfort with their HDSA family. When I talk about convention to my friends back home, I say it's like years wearing this heavy backpack that no one else can see, and then arriving somewhere where everyone is carrying one too. You don't have to explain the weight. Everyone already gets it. And our shared experiences somehow create this instant, beautiful connection. Convention has always been one of the most inspiring events of the year for me. I leave every year with a renewed sense of purpose, a heart full of gratitude, and a few new friends who somehow feel like old ones. I still remember my first convention just 1 year after receiving my own HD diagnosis. My middle sister Kate came with me, and we had absolutely no idea what to expect. When we arrived at the hotel, we spotted EJ Gardner, who's somewhere in the audience here, and she walked right up and she gave us a big hug and said, "Welcome to the HD family reunion." That single moment set the tone for the entire weekend and still does to this day. This feels like coming home to me. Everywhere we went that weekend, we were met with open arms and warm smiles. We sat down with strangers and left feeling like old friends, sharing some of our most vulnerable stories along the way. There was no need to explain what HD meant to our family. Everyone simply understood. And in that understanding, we found a profound sense of belonging. And we cried a lot. We bawled at the NYA talent show. We cried at the research forum. We cried at the candle lighting ceremony. Honestly, if there had been an award for most tears shed in a single weekend, Kate and I would have been serious contenders. But somehow, none of those tears felt heavy. They felt healing. Because wrapped around every emotional moment was a community that understood exactly why we were crying. A community that carried hope and grief, joy and heartbreak, all at the same time. A community that made us feel seen, supported, and held. That is what makes this weekend so powerful. It is not just about the sessions we attend or the information we learn. It's about being together. It's about honoring the families who brought us here, supporting one another in the present, and working toward a future filled with more care, more answers, and more hope. Marjorie Guthrie challenged us to do something, and everyone in this room is answering that call in their own way, through advocacy, through volunteering, through fundraising, sharing your story, or simply showing up for one another. Before we go any further, I'd like to recognize those joining us here for the very first time. If this is your first HDSA convention, would you please stand? Welcome. We are so happy you're here. And we hope this weekend reminds you that you are a part of a community that will walk beside you, and know that crying is totally accepted. We also want to recognize the incredible National Youth Alliance. Their passion, leadership, and fundraising efforts helps bring youth and young adults to convention this year. The NYA continues to remind us that the next generation of HDSA leaders is already here, and they are making a really big difference right now. Let's give them a big round of applause. We also want to take a moment to thank the sponsors who make this weekend possible. Their partnership helps create a space where families, researchers, clinicians, advocates, volunteers, and community members can come together under one roof. Please hold your applause until the end, and then let's make sure they feel our gratitude. Our presenting sponsor is Teva Pharmaceuticals. Our gold sponsors are Neurocrine Biosciences, Novartis Pharmaceuticals, and Unicure. Our silver sponsors are Genentech and Skyhawk Therapeutics. Our silver nonprofit sponsor is CHDI. Our bronze sponsors are Alnylam Pharmaceuticals, Sarepta Therapeutics, and Wave Life Sciences. Our friend sponsors are Lattice Bio, Prelenia Therapeutics, Psalm Biotech, Stewart Disability Law Firm, and Vico Therapeutics. We are also deeply grateful to our many exhibitors who will be here throughout the weekend, sharing resources, information, and support with our community. Now, let's show all of our sponsors and exhibitors our appreciation. All right, so as you all move throughout the weekend, the HDSA Convention app will be your guide. You'll find the full schedule, all of the speaker information, room locations, updates, and ways to connect with other attendees. You can also post messages and photos on the convention wall and take part in the Convention Challenge for a chance to win 2 free registrations to next year's convention. So take a minute to download it by scanning the QR codes on the screen. I think they're going to pop them up here in a second. And make sure you check, because a lot of the rooms have changed since we initially posted the agenda online. There we go. This weekend is filled with opportunities to learn, connect, and recharge. We will hear from clinicians, from researchers, caregivers, advocates, industry partners, volunteers, and families, all bringing important perspectives to the HD community. Many sessions will be recorded and live streamed, and they will be available on HDSA's YouTube channel after convention, so you can revisit sessions or catch anything that you might miss. In addition to all of our educational sessions, we have support groups, we have community gatherings, time with exhibitors, and meaningful opportunities to connect with HDSA leaders and one another. Later today, we will honor our amazing chapter and affiliate leaders at our volunteer luncheon. These volunteers are the heart and soul of HDSA in communities across the country, and we are so grateful for all that they do. This evening, don't miss the National Youth Alliance Talent Show at 5:30 right here. It is always one of the most joyful and inspiring parts of convention, and a wonderful way to celebrate the energy, the creativity, and the spirit of our HD youth community. I also recommend bring some tissues. On Saturday morning, you can come back here, we're gonna grab breakfast, and join us for the Research Forum, where we will hear important updates and explore new developments in HD science. Later that day, we will gather for the Clinical Trials Luncheon, where you'll learn about more current studies, what participation can look like, and how families can help shape the future of HD treatments. And then, to close out the weekend, we will come together Saturday evening for our HDSA Awards Gala and candle lighting ceremony. The reception begins at 7 p.m., followed by dinner, special recognitions, and of course, dancing, and maybe a few other surprises. For those attending the candle lighting ceremony for the first time, oof, you're in for a treat. It is one of the most meaningful moments of convention. It's a time to remember, to honor, to hope, and to stand together as one HDSA community. This weekend, I hope you take in every moment. Ask questions, meet someone new, visit the exhibitors, attend a session that maybe challenges you. Take time to rest when you need it. And most of all, remember that you are not alone. We are standing at a very important moment for HDSA and for the Huntington's disease community. There's real momentum in HD research. And for the first time, many families are hearing words like treatments, trials, and progress in a way that feels closer than ever before. We know that there's still work ahead, but we are entering an era where treatments are truly on the horizon, and that calls on HDSA to be ready. As an organization, we must continue to meet the needs of families today while also preparing for what comes next. That means strengthening our programs, expanding access to care and support, advancing advocacy, investing in research, and ensuring that every person impacted by HD has a trusted place to turn. That is the heart of HDSA's strategic plan. Oh, I'm sorry, baby. It's not just a document or a roadmap. It is a commitment to this community, to help for today, hope for tomorrow, and a future where care is accessible and Huntington's disease is treatable. We can applause for that. Yeah. So, to share more about where HDSA is headed and how this plan will guide our work in the years ahead, it is now my honor to welcome HDSA's President and CEO, my friend Amy Gray.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you for your extraordinary leadership, your vision, and everything you do for our National Board of Trustees and for the HD community. Let's give Jenny another round of applause. There is a beautiful, undeniable power in this community. I've experienced it myself this past year and a half. As Jenny so perfectly put it, this weekend is a rare and sacred gift. The moment you walk through these doors, the weight of explanation drops away. In this space, you are instantly seen, completely understood, and surrounded by your HD family that stands shoulder to shoulder with you. As your president and CEO, looking out over this room also fills me with a profound sense of responsibility. We are standing at a historic crossroads for the HD community. As Jenny noted, we are entering an era where treatments are no longer a distant dream. They are on the horizon. The science is moving faster, clinical trials are expanding, and the momentum is truly undeniable. And together, we are ready to take this incredible momentum and run with it. When we unite our hope with bold, purposeful action, we become an unforceable force for change. The families in this room and the families watching from home do not have time for incremental change. You need us to be bold, you need us to be ready, you need us to take action. And that is exactly why, over the past year, we came together to co-create our future together, embarking on a very thoughtful, deeply intentional listening tour that united our perspectives and voices from every corner of the community. We knew that a plan for the future of HDSA had to be built by the community and for the community. Over the last 12 months, we've looked at every facet of our organization. We gathered input, analyzed our impact, and most importantly, we listened to you. We surveyed hundreds of families, sat down with our incredible chapter and affiliate leaders, consulted with the most dedicated clinical partners at our centers of excellence, and collaborated closely with our global research community. We asked some very vital questions that will define our tomorrow. What do our families need from us now, in this very moment? What will they need from us the day the first disease-modifying therapies come to market? And how do we start preparing for that now? What we learned formed the foundation of our path forward and our strategic plan. We built this plan as a direct response to your voices, designed to transform HDSA into an organization that can aggressively meet this pivotal moment in history. Our roadmap is built on 3 transformative pillars designed to modernize, unify, and accelerate our impact. First, expanding care and support. We are committed to ensuring that no family navigates HD alone, no matter where they live. We are strengthening and expanding our Center of Excellence network, increasing access to specialized HD care, and scaling our support services and programs. Whether you live in a major metropolitan area or a rural community, world-class HD care must be within your reach. Second, we're accelerating research and advocating for your rights. We are continuing to fund the brightest, most innovative minds in global HD research, as well as expanding our current research programs like the Human Biology Project. Additionally, we are championing your needs in Washington, D.C. by partnering directly with congressional leaders and the FDA and our other HD patient advocacy organizations in the community. Together, we will work together to ensure that people with HD and HD family insights are at the very heart of every clinical trial design and drug approval process. Third, we are building a seamless, unified community. To fight HD, our organization must be flawlessly aligned. Through our One HDSA initiative, we are modernizing our infrastructure, unifying our chapters and affiliates across the country into a fully aligned powerhouse. By operating as One HDSA, we maximize every single dollar raised, streamline our operations, and ensure that a family here in Arizona has the same exact support and experience as a family in New York or anywhere else in our nation. We are stronger together, and we are moving forward as one. We invite you to attend our session on Saturday. I believe it's at 11 a.m. You can check the app to confirm that, to learn more about the details around our strategic plan priorities, and you'll hear directly from our Board of Trustees on this. As we rewrote our strategy and elevated our vision for the future, we also had to take a look in the mirror. We had to ask ourselves, does our mission statement still capture the full urgency, the hope, and the determination of who we are today? The core of who we are has never changed. Our promise to Marjorie Guthrie, our founder, has never wavered. But how we express that promise to the world has evolved to match this new chapter and this new era for our community. Today, I'm incredibly proud to reveal HDSA's new mission and vision statements. We didn't want to just write them in your program. We wanted you to see them, to hear them, and to truly feel the heartbeat of where we're going. Please take a look at the screen.
For decades, the Huntington's disease community has moved forward with courage, resilience, and hope. Together, we have built a community rooted in compassion, driven by action, and committed to a future where no one faces Huntington's disease alone. But our work is not finished. Families need answers. They need support. They need care that is within reach. And they need progress, with urgency, with purpose, and with hope. Today, we proudly reaffirm our mission to improve the lives of everyone impacted by Huntington's disease by providing support, driving advocacy, and accelerating research. And we look ahead with a clear vision for the future, a world where Huntington's disease is treatable and care is accessible for all. This is who we are. This is where we are going. And together, we will continue to move the Huntington's disease community forward.
That is our North Star, and that is our promise to you, and that is the standard we will hold ourselves to every single day. Our national vision comes to life through passion. While our strategy may be shaped in a boardroom, the true heartbeat of HDSA thrives in the living rooms, the support groups, the local fundraisers, and the neighborhood walks organized by our incredible chapter and affiliate leaders across the country. The incredible momentum, hospitality, and energy you're feeling, and the warmth that you're feeling here in Phoenix is a direct result of that passion. To welcome you officially to the Valley of the Sun, we will hear from Jasmine Demers, the Arizona chapter president. Jasmine is a journalist who served on the HDSA Arizona board since 2020. Her grandmother passed away from HD 6 years ago, and her dad is in the mid stages of the disease. In 2019, Jasmine produced a documentary called 42 Repeats, which highlights her family's multi-generational battle with HD, as well as her journey to get tested for the gene. This marked the beginning of what she describes as an internal call to action. She is committed to raising awareness and support, not just for her family, but for thousands of other families in our HD community who are impacted by the disease. Please help me give a very, very warm convention welcome to Jasmine.
Hello. Speaking of crying, I do that a lot, so I'm sorry in advance. Okay. On behalf of the HDSA Arizona chapter, it is my honor to welcome you to the 41st Annual HDSA Convention. Whether you came from just down the road or across the country, we're so grateful to have each and every one of you here with us today. If you're visiting Arizona for the first time, you've probably heard someone say, "But it's a dry heat." Well, I'm sure by now you've had a chance to experience exactly what that means. While Arizona may be known for its heat, we hope you'll remember it even more for the warmth of the people you'll meet this weekend. For our local HD families, volunteers, and supporters, having the convention in our home state is incredibly meaningful. It gives us the opportunity to share our community with all of you and help officially kick off a weekend filled with connection, learning, hope, and support. Convention is one of the most powerful reminders of what makes HDSA so special. It brings together families, caregivers, people living with HD, researchers, clinicians, advocates, volunteers, and supporters, all united by a shared commitment to improve the lives of everyone impacted by Huntington's disease. For many of us, HDSA is more than an organization. It is a place where families find answers, where people feel less alone, and where hope is carried forward by the strength of this community. Whether this is your first convention or one of many, we hope you feel welcomed, supported, and connected throughout the weekend. Like so many families here, Huntington's disease has shaped my family for generations. I've watched people I love live with this disease and have carried the uncertainty, the grief, and the pain that it can bring. But when I attended my first convention in 2018, everything changed for me. For the first time, I was surrounded by people who truly understood what it meant to live in an HD family. I didn't have to explain myself or my fears. Everyone just got it. I found not only information and resources, but something I hadn't realized I needed: hope. I left that weekend with a community that has supported me ever since, and the belief that we don't have to face HD alone. And since I know I am among friends, I'd also like to share that my husband and I are in the midst of our second IVF cycle, with the hope of one day bringing a child into the world. Thank you. Bringing a child into the world who will never have to face Huntington's disease. In fact, right now, as we speak, our little embryos are being biopsied and sent off for genetic testing. So while we're gathered here talking about hope, research, and the future, it all feels incredibly real for our family today. We don't know what the next phone call will bring, but we're hopeful, And if you're willing, we'll gladly take all the hope, prayers, good vibes, crossed fingers, and positive thoughts you can send our way this weekend. Being here today reminds me that progress is real, that this community is extraordinary, and that together we are building a future that looks even brighter than it did yesterday. As we begin this special convention, I encourage you to make the most of every session, every conversation, and every moment together. Learn from one another, support one another, and take time to celebrate the incredible community that we are all a part of. Thank you again for being here. On behalf of the HDSA Arizona chapter, welcome to Arizona, and welcome to the 41st Annual HDSA Convention. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jasmine, for sharing your story with us and for your remarkable leadership here. Before we move to our next presentation, I just want to take a moment to address everyone here. None of the progress that we talk about today happens in a vacuum. It happens because of every single one of you. Our strength as an organization and as a community lies in our collective action. Every time you share your story, show up to an event, or volunteer, you push the needle forward. In fact, we are about to see a very powerful, real-time example of that. The research updates and insights being presented next are the direct result of extraordinary participation right here at our previous conventions. Because of the incredible involvement of community members that gave their time, we have new data to share today. Next, we are going to hear about the data collected from the research studies at convention. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Swati Sathi to the stage. Dr. Sathi is the Medical Vice President, Clinical Research at CHDI Foundation, a nonprofit biomedical research organization dedicated to finding treatments for Huntington's disease. She's going to take us through the community's data and what it's teaching us. Please help me give a warm welcome to Dr. Sathi.
Thank you very much, and at the outset, I really have to thank HDSA and this incredible opportunity, not just for the research, but also to give a presentation here. And I have some very difficult shoes to fill after the prior presentations, but since it's more science-focused, I think I will manage. So starting up, this is the 5th year that we are doing this research, so it's sort of a milestone, and like I said, I deeply appreciate this opportunity. The word pop-up was actually coined by our president, Roby Blumenstein, and when we were explaining to him what we intended to do in 2022, he said, well, that sounds like a pop-up study, like you're going to pop up at the convention. So we have kept that name internally, but now we have changed the name externally to HDRAC, HD Research at Convention Study Series. So let me start off with a very big thank you, like I said, to all the participants and families. And I have to say, in 2022, when we first had the study, we said what will be defining as success. Since we are putting this in and making all this effort, we will define success if we have 40 participants. That was the sort of understanding, and 140 participants showed up that year. So. And since then, every single year we have had 150 plus participants show up. So a huge thank you, and I know the convention is very busy, the lineup of the sessions is very powerful, and yet every one of you finds time to show up at our research study room and do as many sessions as you can. I'm going to go over some of the statistics that we have gathered over the years. Of course, a huge thank you to CHDI organization, all my colleagues, all my C-level team, of course, Christina Sampaio, my boss, who support me incredibly through this whole exercise. We have a team of about 32 plus, or maybe 38 CHDI colleagues who are here to help us out with the convention or taking time off from their work and coming to Phoenix. So really great thank you for all of them. And we have changed the model of the research a little bit over the years, and so we have had several collaborators come to us with their digital assessments or other traditional assessments, and that's a list of all the collaborators that we have over the year. If I've missed somebody, I'm very sorry. But this is the group of people who have joined us in doing research at the convention. So first question, why do we conduct study at HDSA convention? How did this idea come about? I'll go to that a little later. But as I don't have to tell this, this group, we are the largest community outreach organization, fantastic organization, very deeply committed community. So there is a very high participant accessibility. We can make an appeal, and you all, help us. And it also helps us understand, more about how families react to research. What should we change in our other research endeavors? That's helpful. It supports observational research. I hope at least some of you have had questions answered about what this would mean and how this would change other research in the community. One of the main advantages of this is that it does generate pilot data, and it does help people understand how they should conduct other studies or future studies when we do this. It is cost effective because we are all volunteers coming here. We don't have big organizations. We don't have big equipment that we are doing. And so really fast data is collected in a very expedited and cost effective manner. So I just wanted to give a little overview. I hope I don't go over time, but what are we actually doing? So the most important thing for a clinical research and for clinical trials, I should say, as different from clinical assessment or clinical care, is that there is a measure that we have to show the FDA or the regulatory authorities that something is changing as a result of this intervention. And what that measure should be is chosen by the research community, by the pharmaceutical company, by other investigators. And it's very difficult, you'll have to take my word for it, but it's very difficult in a long-term condition like Huntington disease to choose that outcome measure. And that outcome measure could be patient-reported, it could be a performance by the patient, a clinician-reported, or an observer-reported. Those are just the types of outcome measures. What we are trying to do here is collect pilot data or basic data to see what would support development of an outcome measure that is powerful enough, that changes within the clinical trial of 2 to 3 years, that is applicable to a wider range of population who is enrolled in the clinical trial, and that will successfully show that this drug is making a change. And like I said, you have to take my word for it, it is a very, very difficult task. And not just for Huntington, in general for neurological disorders like Alzheimer's, Parkinson, we are all in the same boat trying to figure out what those clinical outcome measures are. So in that sense, this is what we have done. These are our posters from the past 4 years, and you can see the number of people that were enrolled each year at these studies. And I just put an example of 2024. So in 2024, we had 179 participants. And at this research room, we have multiple stations, so to say, and we have assessments that we offer at each of the stations. Any participant can participate in as many stations as they can. There is no reason that they have to participate in 4, 5, 1, 2, whatever time they have and whatever interests them, that's okay. We also have a blood collection center. Again, just if somebody doesn't want to donate blood, that is perfectly fine. That should not stop you from coming to the research room. If you just wanted to ask questions and come discuss with us, you are welcome as well. No bars. But in 2024, we had a total of 179 participants. That was in Spokane. And you can see approximately how many people did each of the batteries. So about 140 people, various permutations and combinations there, but at least about 140 people completed all the stations. And so that was very encouraging. That was, we get overwhelmed when we have participation like that. Last year, I think we had about 150 plus participants. I don't remember the exact number. So we are hoping for the same participation this year. I truly encourage all of you to at least come and talk to us and see what you can do in your busy, busy schedule of the next 2 days. So what procedures have we offered in all these years? Like I said, we have collaborated with a lot of participants, a lot of companies and universities to offer mostly digital assessments, because that is the new era of clinical outcomes, simply because they're more sensitive, they're probably more reliable than human eye, because of course there is some subjectivity when clinical raters are doing all these assessments. So to bring some objectivity, reliability, and standardization, that's where we are going. So we had the Roche battery a couple of years ago. We are having it again this time. We have had digital gait assessments. We have had digital speech assessments. And all of those sort of mostly focused on digital assessments. We also have a like a performance-based task, fine motor movement battery this time. So we have various combinations of things that we have done over the years. So this was the first one. This is what kicked the whole thing off, and it was a question. So NFL, again, I cannot go into details, I have little time, but NFL is one of the proteins that is a marker of neuronal health, let me say brain health, for a lot of disorders. And it is used as a marker to see if there is any change in the brain structure or function in different disorders. But in different diseases, like say MS or Alzheimer's, people would use a different blood component. So sometimes they were measured in serum, and sometimes they were measured in plasma in the blood. And so the question was, are these comparable? If we are looking across different papers, and they give a value for the NFL, are these comparable in, even within Huntington or within disorders when they come from serum or plasma? And I said, all we need is to do a simultaneous serum and plasma estimation. We don't only need people who may have a neurological disorder, even healthy controls can answer the question. And that was the first drive for the study in 2022. And basically what this shows is that the levels are comparable. If you do a plasma or a serum NFL, you get comparable levels. We did it at 2 different laboratories. It was still comparable. So a very simple question, but because it was so direct and focused, it gave an answer straight away that these are comparable levels. So questions like these, when if that's the proposed research at a convention like this, it has the ability to provide a very concise and a precise answer. So this was in 2023. This is a little complicated slide, but I can just say this because, again, I may be over time, I don't know. But what it showed is we did a finger tapping test with the sensors on the hand. Like I said, we are focused on digital assessments. And the digital assessment had the ability to clearly distinguish between what would be considered a rapid, accurate finger tapping and not so rapid, accurate finger tapping to a remarkable, remarkable discernment. And as you see, what this is actually showing is that if there is a change in the acceleration compared at finger opening versus finger closing, we did a number of measures. I just put this one because I thought it was powerful. Then at a particular point, almost nobody who was a control or an at-risk participant had that acceleration, whereas participants who came to us as participants with Huntington disease all moved. And this is not the kind of differentiation that we get with all outcome measures. Of course, a lot of work needs to be done here, but this is something that a digital assessment can really provide. And then in 24, we had, again, very simple questions. The Hopkins verbal learning test was going to be difficult to obtain. It is one of the tests that is done for cognitive batteries in Huntington disease. For all sorts of reasons, we were not going to have access to that test. There is a parallel test called ISLT. Now the question was, do these 2 tests give equal answers? Are they comparable? Again, at a convention like this, you all participated. The answer is yes, they are comparable. Whereas we had a question about saliva collection at NFL, that can we measure NFL in saliva? Are the levels comparable? And here we got a negative answer, that at least the kit we used was not able to do such a good job at the saliva, and also that whatever samples we did get, so NFL was not measurable in that those saliva samples. So direct question and a fairly reliable answer. So for this year, I thought of one more. Okay, maybe it's the next study. So like we said, what do we gain by doing research at HDSA conventions? The results can be definitive if the research is very focused, question is very focused. It allows all the collaborators who are working on digital assessments to collect pilot data to see where their next future research should go, and then provide insight regarding what those studies should be like. I hope it encourages participation in research. And then, of course, you have the opportunity to directly talk to us and ask questions about research in general. So here it is. So this is our research study proposed this year. It's in Wildflower BNC, so you also get your steps. If you come there twice, that's 10,000 steps. So that's it. And then we have questionnaires and a blood draw. Questionnaires are required because we cannot connect the data if we don't have your demographic and other information. On the side note, this is a completely anonymized study. We do not collect any personal information, no name, no address, no date of birth, nothing. We have a participant ID. You will know who you are, but we will not know who you are once you have left our convention room. So in that way, the study is very confidential and safe. And otherwise, we have 5 or 6 assessments that include gait, and like I said, the Roche digital assessment, fine motor movements, functional capacity, and motor assessment supports all of these other studies. So there are a lot of other pop-up things, but I hope you come and support our pop-up study, and thank you so much. I think I've gone over time, but thank you very much.
Swati, thank you so much. And I just want to extend a thank you to everyone in this room who's participated in the research that happens here at convention. But I think it's just a great opportunity to remind you the work that happens, the fact that we're in a place right now where science is being driven forward is happening because of you. So the example that Swati just shared shows what this room does, but it also illustrates what people living with HD do to keep things moving forward. So thanks, Swati. Good morning. Welcome again to the 41st Annual HDSA Convention. I'm Eric Johnson. I'm the Chief Mission Officer here at HDSA. And on behalf of the entire HDSA staff team, I just want to say that we're thrilled to have you here with us in Phoenix. We're also thrilled to have all of those of you who are watching from home with us today. And I know I say this every year. The second I say that out loud, it makes me even more nervous because there's even more of y'all watching us. So happy to have you here. Over the next 2 days, you will have an opportunity to attend sessions and learn about HD, how to live best with HD, and hear updates on research in HD. You're also going to have the chance to learn about the impact that people living with HD in the HD community can make as we are working towards a future where there are disease-modifying treatments for Huntington's disease. Now, we've heard a little bit about the FDA decision here for Unicure, and I want to echo something that I think Amy said earlier is, this does not happen in a vacuum. Change happens when a community is activated. And over the last year, the HD community, has signed petitions, made thousands of calls to Congress, and met directly with legislators on Capitol Hill. All of this helps drive change that helps us all get closer to a time when a treatment for HD becomes a reality. I'm excited to bring our next speaker to the stage, who will tell us about how HDSA plans and works towards change. I'm even more excited for you to hear from her now because you can be a part of that change right now, today, in this room, or at home for those of you watching. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome HDSA Senior Manager of Advocacy, Phyllis Foxworth, to the stage.
So thank you for having me. I can only share how much it is an honor to serve as your Senior Manager of Advocacy. This is such a motivated and community that inspires me every day to do the best that I can to improve the lives of everyone living with Huntington's disease and their families. I'm just going to share with you today a very high-level view of some of our federal grassroots advocacy. We have a session immediately following at 11 o'clock if you want to learn more, so here's your invitation to do that. So our federal grassroots advocacy program is focused in 3 key areas. Speeding innovation in the development of new therapies, which I will talk with you in a little bit further about. Increasing access to care. An example of that, is making telehealth permanent for Medicare beneficiaries. That was something that was instituted in the COVID era, but it expires and it needs to be made permanent. It's a huge advantage for both patients and families. And the other key area of focus is in reducing financial burdens for people living with Huntington's disease and their families. And another example of that is some legislation that we have been tracking that would change IRS rules to allow credits for the care that families spend on medical care, for example, in long-term care facilities. So again, in my next session later on today, we'll be going into that portfolio, but that's a very high level of what our key areas of focus are. But we achieve the success in our grassroots advocacy through a very strategic plan, and that first is to create awareness. So every time you participate in a walk, and every time you participate in an action alert that I might send you where you're sending an email to your members of Congress, you're creating awareness. Every time you talk to your neighbors, you talk to your local politicians and your state politicians, you're creating awareness. Every time your HDSA advocacy leaders participate in our August recess campaign, they are creating awareness about Huntington's disease. So when we create awareness, it gives us the opportunity to drive the conversation. There's an old adage in the advocacy world that if you're not if you're not at the table, you risk being on the menu, which means you risk being eaten. But I've said for many years now that that is so passé. We no longer are asking for a seat at the table. We are demanding that we set the table. And that's where we are today. We're setting the table with our own agenda instead of waiting to be asked. So if we do those two things, create awareness and drive the conversation, we have a great opportunity to influence legislation and policy. So going back to that speeding innovation in the development of new therapies bucket. So we have always been focused on our work with the FDA to create awareness around the needs for people living with Huntington's disease, what the impact is on the disease, and how it affects them. A good example of that was the 2024 patient-focused drug development meeting where the community came together and shared those insights. But we became concerned in November of last year that there was a changing environment at the FDA. That under new leadership, decisions were being changed. So we took the initiative to say it's not enough to educate the FDA, that we need to take their advocacy around speeding innovation in the development of new therapies to Congress, directly to Congress. And so we, with our advocacy leaders and all of you as the community, we were really focused on a very united message to members of Congress ever since the beginning of the year. And that was that we were asking Congress to insist that the FDA give us transparency around the decisions that were being made. Because this not only affected AMT 130, this affects everything that's in the pipeline. There's so much in the pipeline, and if we don't understand, and if there's no transparency around why they're making the decisions they're making, it affects everything else that's coming up. We also really spoke to Congress and said, we want you to go back to the FDA and tell them that you're demanding that they use the authority that you, Congress, have given them. Congress has given the FDA a lot of latitude when it comes to rare diseases. They have allowed for innovation in clinical trial designs for rare diseases. They allow for the flexibility of the use of natural history data as appropriate. So our real key message to Congress was, we want transparency, and we want you to insist that the federal agency that reports to you is using the authority that you have given them. So, to quote the great John Lewis, representative from Georgia, when you see that something is not right, not fair, not just, you have to speak up. You have to say something. You have to do something. And my favorite phrase from John Lewis is, get into some good trouble. And yes, you guys did. Give yourselves a huge round of applause. You got into some good trouble. So let me just share with you what you did. Under Create Awareness, over 40,000 petitions signatures were delivered to the FDA. Since last November, this community, this HDSA community, has sent over 12,000 emails to members of Congress. Because of all the work that your HDSA advocacy leaders have been doing in the August Recess campaign, they've nurtured those relationships. They had 16 virtual meetings with members of Congress and their staff. They had 48 your HDSA advocacy leaders went to DC during Rare Disease Week as part of the Every Life Foundation Hill Day. They had over 48 in-person meetings during Rare Disease Week. As a result of all of those efforts of you guys, the community, 20 members of Congress sent emails and letters to the FDA asking what was going on. But it's because you created that awareness, we were then able to drive the conversation. In April, we brought in members of our centers of excellence, those clinicians. We scheduled meetings with influential members of Congress to talk about how clinical trials designs are created, how clinical trials are run at their centers, how the importance of use of natural history data. On June 2nd, we had a Hill briefing with other members of the rare disease community. A Hill briefing is where, on Capitol Hill, you invite members of Congress and their staff to come to a meeting that you set the table. And that meeting was particularly focused on the appropriate use of natural history data. So, as a result of all your work, the director of the FDA Center for Biologics Evaluation and Review was dismissed. The commissioner of the FDA resigned. And the FDA reversed their decisions on accepting a BLA for accelerated approval for AMT 130. So the fight is still ongoing. We do have to make sure that we get a commissioner for the FDA that will continue to be supportive. But I'm very optimistic that of all the work that the community has done, not just your community, but the entire rare disease community, that things are moving forward in the right way. So, we don't get to rest on our laurels here, though, in advocacy, do we? No, we don't. So we're moving on. One of the areas that we have had great concern for the past 5 years is the Act for ALS. And this was enacted in 2001 to accelerate treatments for people living with ALS and other neurodegenerative diseases. I just attended a meeting where the FDA and NIH gave out a report 3 weeks ago on the workaround that they have been doing for the Act for ALS. Every single item that they ticked off was for ALS. So we have had many meetings over the past 5 years with NIH and the FDA, and they have said that they would like to do more for other rare neurodegenerative diseases, but the way the language is written in the bill, that they feel their hands are tied and they don't have funding. In fact, a meeting 2 years ago that Eric and I were with at the FDA, they said, please, go ask them for more funding. At that report out 3 weeks ago, a staff member from the FDA said, we would like to do more for other diseases, but we don't have the funding. So, what is our response? So we've drafted new language for that bill. It adds a section that requires the agencies, the FDA and NIH, to identify new diseases for this program. And we included language that would outline a process of how they should identify those new diseases for this program. And then we get into the language that we are asking that members of Congress write into the Act for ALS, we included criteria on what diseases would meet those requirements. And so examples are, well, not examples, this is what's in our draft legislation, is unmet medical need, including the availability of disease-modifying approved therapies, existence of patient registries, natural history studies, centers of excellence, clinical trial networks, or other scientific infrastructures capable of supporting research and therapeutic. That sounds like HD to me. So, we have a long uphill battle, folks. So I'm asking everyone here to do what you did earlier, but to do it today, right here in this room. I want you to call your member of Congress and ask them to support HD within the Act for ALS. What you have here, we have HDSA advocacy leaders around the room. Please stand up, you HDSA advocacy leaders. I believe they've handed out sheets to you on your tables with, they're doing that now. They're handing out sheets with that. You can scan that QR code, or you can type in that URL address, and it'll take you to our HDSA Advocacy Hub. So if you're not registered on the Advocacy Hub, you will need to register, and it'll just ask you to enter your name, your address, zip code, and your city and state. And once you do that, you will get a screen. This happens to be, I'm in Illinois. You'll get a screen that says my Senator Dick Durbin, Senator Tammy Duckworth, or Representative Mike Quigley with a little phone number, with a little phone icon. When you click that phone icon, it dials the number for you. And up pops a script that you can read to whomever answers the phone. Now, don't be intimidated. The person answering you, it might go into voicemail, but there might be somebody answering the phone, and that is going to be your college intern. And that is her job. Her job is to pick up that phone every time it rings and listen to what you have to say, and then she records it. And so what we're hoping today is that, I don't know, what is it, 1 o'clock in DC? That they're going to start getting a lot of phone calls with that script that you're going to read, asking them to make sure that Huntington's disease is included in the Act for ALS. Now, I'm going to, as those are being passed out, there's advocacy leaders that are going to walk around and help you make that phone call, because I know that can be a little scary the first time you do it, and you might not know how to do it, but trust me, it's an intern. It's a college intern that you're talking to. Yeah. So, for those of you who have already been subscribers and registered on the HDSA Advocacy Hub, the vendor has a little bit of a glitch, in as much as if you registered like on your laptop and now you're trying to do the QR code, it doesn't recognize you as a person who's registered. So you have to go through that process of entering your name, address, zip code, and city and state. But when you enter the phone number, it will say, oh, there's already a phone number for this person. So that is a glitch of the vendors that we use around this. So again, this is what you do in advocacy, you punt. You're always prepared. So you can call the Congress switchboard and you just say, I would like to speak, please connect me to Representative Quigley's office, and they will. And they will, that intern, that lovely intern, will answer the phone and you read them this script. Hello, my name is Phyllis Foxworth, and I'm a constituent from Chicago, Illinois. As Congress considers reauthorization of the Act for ALS, I wanted to make sure that the law is changed to support research and development for Huntington's disease. I urge you to use the opportunity to make changes to ensure the federal government supports HD patients and families. Please reach out to your leadership and demand that Huntington's disease is added to the Act for ALS. Huntington's disease is a fatal neurological disease with no cure. Families affected by Huntington's disease deserve the same federal commitment to accelerating research, therapeutic development, and patient support that Congress has provided through the Act for ALS. And trust me, she will not hang up on you. That is that intern's job, and she will note, oh, you got Representative Quigley, you got 10 calls today from some people asking that Huntington's disease be concluded in the Act for ALS. So we have staff around, and we have our HDS advocacy leaders around. I am going to leave the switchboard number up just in case that's easier for you. Or you can go to the, use the QR code or the URL on the sheets of paper that we passed out. And can't wait to hear those phones start ringing, guys. I don't see anybody getting out their phones.
All right. We know this is daunting, so I told Phyllis, if we're expecting folks to do it, let's test it on the biggest dummy first and see how it goes. So join me in calling Senator Chuck Schumer's office. Pardon me, I will not say that when I do get an intern on the phone line, but let's do this.
All right, let's do this. Get out your phones, guys.
Man, this is nerve-wracking. All right. Voicemail, thank God. Hi, my name is Eric Johnson. I'm a constituent from New York City, New York. As Congress considers reauthorization of the Act for ALS, I wanted to make sure that the law is changed to support research and development for Huntington's disease. I urge you to use the opportunity to make changes to ensure the federal government supports HD patients and families. Please reach out to your leadership and demand that Huntington's disease is added to the Act for ALS. Huntington's disease is a fatal neurodegenerative disease with no cure. Families affected by HD deserve the same federal commitment to accelerating research, therapeutic development, and patient support that Congress has provided through the Act for ALS.
I will hold that applause until I see you guys starting this yourself.
Let's hear you.
Let's see you do it. Come on.
You're on the call. Excellent. Excuse me. And if you aren't able to get through today, I hope you will also take a picture of the screen or take a picture of the QR code on your table, because you can continue to do this. What we're excited for is the momentum of this morning or afternoon in DC to get the ball rolling with the congressional leaders that are contacted. And as Phyllis said, we actually have meetings lined up with representatives, with Congress people starting next week. And for them to be able to say, yeah, I got 10 calls from people in my district last week, just moves the conversation forward. We'll give you all like a minute or two more, and then we'll wrap up. All right, y'all. Truly appreciate everyone participating in this morning. Again, this is an opportunity for us to show what is the power of a community when we are working to drive change together. The volume of calls that were just made, the impact this is going to have is something that we will just look forward to hearing what the next changes are that come about. So thank you for everything you've done today. Thank you for everything you've contributed to, whether it's being a participant in research, an advocate, a member of the HD community. We look forward to talking to you more over the next couple of days. For now, we're going to wrap up this session just a bit early, but this will give you some more time to go to the exhibit hall, meet with our sponsors, meet with some of the companies working on HD, get to connect with other people who are in this room, and then come back to session starting at 11 o'clock. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your morning. Keep making the calls if you're online, and we'll look forward to talking to you more over the course of the weekend.